Welcome to TRS Clips, where you'll find happiness through your own curiosity. I want to actually talk a little bit about testosterone also.
Yes.
Because if you truly focus on increasing your resting levels of testosterone, I would assume that problems like this, performance anxiety and all, won't arise as much. Because testosterone is linked to so many other positive functions of the body also. I think it is a hormone that should be spoken about more, and every man at least should be educated on how to increase his testosterone levels. So I'm going to have a go at it. Please add stuff to it. And this is based on an episode of Dr. Huberman that I researched upon for the sake of an elaborate testosterone Hindi video that I'd done. It boils down to the basics: clean food, high protein intake, lots of movement, ideally a competitive sport. That's been like a recent study. All these things over time compound, and generally your testosterone levels stay good up till the age of 50. And right now in America, for a lot of guys post 50, this has become a very common conversation that they do something called TRT, which is under the guidance of someone like yourself, testosterone replacement therapy. Before I ask the doctor for his inputs, I need to tell the audience that again, all the doctors we've spoken to, the lifestyle factors are effectively the same. And you guys know all these lifestyle factors. It's exercise, clean food, etc. The only added factor here is a competitive sport. If you're able to play a competitive game of football once a week, basketball, cricket, where you want to win, for some reason that's shown an increase in testosterone. Anything else you'd like to add, sir?
Yes. So, testosterone is the food for the body. So, suppose you are not utilizing it, body stops producing it. So, either use it or lose it.
And you use it by exercising?
Yes. So, what does the body mean? Why should you have a testosterone and a woman shouldn't have a testosterone? What does testosterone do to you? It gives you muscle, broad shoulders, strong bones. What are they supposed to do? You're supposed to exercise with them. You're supposed to go fight. You're supposed to go to war. You're supposed to go to hunt, swim. So if you don't do that, you're not using your testosterone. So the body, as I said, is a wonderful computer. So this guy doesn't need it, man. So take it off.
In terms of if you're lazy, if you're just sitting at home all day watching TV, your body will reduce your testosterone level.
If you're watching TV, the testosterone reduces faster.
Even if you're watching porn?
Yes.
Okay. Just a thought experiment. Go on.
because you are training to recreate that. If you are with a woman, then that job is being done by the woman. Here you are trying to recreate that thing onto yourself.
Sure.
That is the problem with testosterone. So testosterone has a lot of functions, as we just mentioned: muscle, bone, this, that. And if you don't use it, you will lose it. So how do you exercise? So there is something called basal metabolic rate. Now you have a basal metabolic rate. It is like the RPM, the revolutions per minute of a motor car. So you have an idling car. It has an RPM of 800 to say 1000 RPM. So that engine will run. And it will consume a certain amount of fuel. So now when you give a raise, it goes to 1500. So the fuel consumption increases. So suppose you are getting up in the morning and you are exercising. So you are revving up your metabolic rate. Your RPM increases from 800 to 1000 to maybe 2000 if you are jogging in the morning or swimming in the morning. And during the day, since you are working, you are not coming back to rest, you are going to office or you are going to your work, it stays, the basal rate, it may go up to 200 RPM, 2000 RPM, and then comes down to maybe 1600, 1800, 1400, which is much more than 800 that you woke up with. And then suppose you add on a physical activity, you had to run after something, or you had to rush, or you had to cycle, or you had to do something. It again goes from 1400 to 1800. Now imagine if you had not gone for a exercise in the morning, you woke up with 800. So you are lingering between 800 and 1000, 800 and 1000. And if I ask you to put an effort you would be unwilling to put an effort. And even if you put an effort, your RPM is not going to go beyond, say, 1200. Because your basal metabolic rate was 800. Now we add another factor to this thing. So we have what is called a body clock, which runs with sun. So we have the pineal gland, we have the hypothalamus, and we have the melatonin, and we have the circadian rhythm. The luteinizing hormone, which is released from the pituitary, goes to the testes and increases the testosterone. So there is a peak of luteinizing hormone, releasing hormone from the hypothalamus, which is controlled by the circadian rhythm, which is at 4:30 a.m.
So sleep early.
In India, in our history or in our mythology or whatever, it is called Bhorkal. That is the main time that you have the peak of LHRH, or luteinizing hormone, releasing hormone from the hypothalamus. It goes to the pituitary, which is the luteinizing hormone, which goes to the testes and kicks it to produce testosterone. Now imagine you are doing an exercise and an activity when the testosterone peak is there. So you have an inflow of testosterone, you're using it at that time. So next day morning, the hypothalamus knows this guy needs more testosterone, so it pumps in more.
Wow.
Now, if you are not doing it, the hypothalamus also thinks this guy is not going to use testosterone, so let it be around 800. His RPM is 800, 1000. So why should I give him another fuel? So there's no testosterone which rises. Coming back to another thing, I'm sorry, it is not against people who exercise at night because they don't have an option. If you don't have an option, you can still exercise. But what is better, morning or evening? Suppose at night you come from office and you go for an exercise, you go to the gym and you have revved up your RPM from, say, 1000 to 2000. After 2 hours, you're going to sleep. So the advantage that you had during the day, that you revved up your RPM to 2000, and it stayed 2000 because you were working. You were running, moving around in the office, anywhere, wherever you are working, you are actually, RPM is still high. Against, you raise it to 2000, go off to sleep in 2 hours, that whole effort is gone waste. Technically.
You're effectively giving very easy hacks to increase your testosterone.
Yes.
And the hack is sleep early, wake up early, work out in the morning. Like Akshay Kumar. That's why his voice is like that. Actually, the way Akshay Kumar lives, eats, goes about life, he's a good representation of a high testosterone male.
Yes.
I would argue.
Yes.
Right? Like
Yes.
just healthy living.
This is healthy living.
There's also a report, I remember Tiger Shroff spoke about this. He said that he doesn't drink because it shakes up your testosterone levels, even one session of drinking.
Yes. So anything that puts your RPM to downwards, like alcohol, you can't even balance yourself. That is the state of your muscles. So your RPM may be falling below 800. So obviously the testosterone consumption is not there. The body computer says, oh, this guy doesn't need a testosterone, so stop producing it. And there is another issue to it. Suppose you have been a football player. So I see a lot of them. So there's this guy. I'll give you a story. It's an interesting story. So there were two people who got married because they used to be playing tennis together. Now they were playing tennis together. They were between 25 and 30, 5 years courtship. Then they say, okay, we get married. They get married. They have a good sex appetite. They have a good testosterone, both of them. And now this guy is a banker. And at 35, he wants to become the vice president of the company. So he's working very hard. So he's putting in 14 hours on the chair. He stops going to play tennis. His wife, however, continues to play tennis. At 35, two of them come to me together with erectile dysfunction. So what have you found? So you look at him and you see, oh my God, he's got as chubby as what I am, So this guy's become chubby. He has not been playing tennis. The girl is slim like, any tennis player you can imagine at 35. Since she is a tennis player, she has a high testosterone, she has a high appetite, which this guy can't match. So he has an impact with psychological thing also, because he's not able to match the appetite. So he goes into two things, both a combination of psychogenic erectile dysfunction and an organic erectile dysfunction, because when I check his testosterone is low. Why is his testosterone low? Two things. One, his computer says he's not using it, so it reduces. The second is the stress. Stress is huge. So this guy is stressed. He's looking at his counterpart, colleague, who may become a vice president, and he wants to reach there and he doesn't want him to reach there. So round the clock, that stress is there. 14 hours in office, 10 hours at home, 24 hours a day. He's only thinking about one thing, how to prevent him from being a vice president so that I become a vice president.
Just to put your point across even more, I want to remind the listeners of how they felt during exam season in school. You felt a higher level of stress. What was biologically happening was that your cortisol levels in your body had increased. Cortisol is your stress hormone. I'm assuming that it's related to your testosterone. Of course, that if you have a higher baseline cortisol in your bloodstream, it will affect your testosterone.
Certainly.
Anything you'd like to add to this cortisol angle?
So two things. So if you look at two things, one is, of course, when there is stress, there are stress hormones like cortisol. Apart from that direct effect of cortisol, there is an indirect effect on psyche. You stop thinking about sex.
Because you're thinking about failure.
Yes. Even if your partner is trying to approach you for sex, you stop thinking about it, because either you're tired or you're scared of non-performance, because last time you couldn't perform, because while you were performing, you suddenly realize that you haven't sent a mail which the other guy must have sent. So doing that means that he's distracted. So he stops performing. So he's staying away from sexual activity. His testosterone is coming down. Again, if you look at people who unfortunately need corticosteroids, say for kidney disease or lung disease or something else, rheumatoid arthritis, they are given steroids, they become plump. So they gain a lot of fat. So fat has an enzyme called aromatase. Now what that does is it converts testosterone into estrogen. So whatever testosterone is being produced is being converted into estrogen rapidly in that fat, in the subcutaneous fat. And the structure of the body becomes more feminine.
Pear-shaped.
So if you remember, there was a movie called Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. And there was this Hrithik Roshan. And there was a child Hrithik Roshan. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Golu Molu people.
Yeah.
The person who was a plump boy. What is wrong with that fellow? And how he became Hrithik Roshan. So there is a biology transition between that boy and that.
Honestly, this story that you're giving us of Hrithik from childhood to actually being muscular Hrithik Roshan, I have seen so many guys my age, younger than me, go through that same story arc of not taking care of their health when they were younger. And then eventually in life, realizing pretty early on that either they got, what's pre-diabetes called?
Yeah, that's right. So they become, this basically pre-diabetes only, latent diabetes. Yeah. And that manifests.
Like for me, again, same thing. I was a judo player, very fat, but judo player. So I was strong, but unhealthy on the inside. I had gallstones at 16 and I had a gallbladder removal surgery at age 16. So that surgeon very politely told me that you'll die at 25 if you eat this way. And then that just got me very deep into fitness. Like at age 16, 17, I started running. At age 18, I started weight training, and I've really taken care of myself a lot in my 20s. Best decision of my life because it changes your personality also. Thing is that personality change that you go through then applies to your career. It applies to your ability to lead, etc. But biologically speaking, what's truly happening here is that your testosterone is high. Because you're taking care of your body, you're sleeping on time, you're eating right, you're exercising. And that high level of testosterone genuinely helps your career. I truly feel that because it's sort of also called a hormone that's a latent motivator. You just feel like going out and achieving more things in the world. I'd like you to begin this next phase of the podcast wherever you like. Do you want to begin at the Hrithik Roshan part do you want to begin at? The personality aspect of testosterone, you go for it.
So I'll touch all of them.
Sure.
First of all, let us beg pardon from Hrithik Roshan because we're using his name. It is not that. It is a character in the movie called
Laddu.
Laddu. That's right. So consider Laddu. So he's a golumolu kind of a person, and he eats whatever he wants to eat. Dietary indiscretion, and he's very moody, and he doesn't want to focus into anything. He may be not listening to anybody. He would eat whatever he wants to eat and not what he should be eating. Now, when somebody has that kind of a habit, it is perpetuated. Why is it perpetuated? Because what you're eating, sugars, they go straight into your gut, and then they go there and change the microbiome of your gut in such a manner that you are only feeding the wrong kind of bacteria in your gut. And if you see what the story about the bariatric surgery, it is not only about making the gut small, the stomach small capacity. When you do something there, the local hormones change and they reduce the fat. They reduce the fat absorption. They cause some kind of change in the local hormone milieu that the fattening effect of diet reduces. So it is not only the direct amount of calories that you're taking, but it is something else which is happening there. And that is related to the jejunum, the gut microbe. The jejunum is the small bowel just next to the upper small bowel, or you can say upper small intestine is jejunum. And that is the seat of all these hormones, the duodenum and the jejunum. So coming back to the diet. So when you're having a dietary indiscretion like that, a lot of sugars, they are immediately absorbed from the small bowel, and the small bowel actually thrives with bacteria which just need sugar. So they keep multiplying and you don't have the healthy bacteria in your gut. So suppose you were to take a lot of fibers. So if you were to take a lot of fibers, they do two things. One, they mechanically displace the colony of these bacteria. Two, they line up the intestinal level in such a manner that even if you take sugar after that sugar is not going to give rise to or potentiate the growth of negative bacteria. So this is what is the story behind what happens. So when something like this is happening, a lot of fat is getting accumulated. When the fat is getting accumulated, as I said, it has what is called peripheral aromatase. Aromatase is an enzyme which converts the testosterone into estrogen. And if you see these boys, they will have breasts. They will look like feminish breasts. And they will have small external genitalia. The hair growth around the genitalia, which is the pubic hair, is of the feminine type.
Which is less?
No, the hair growth in feminine type is an inverted triangle. In a male type, it is the upright triangle. That's the pubic hair. So that is how the pubic hair is supposed to be.
You're basically biologically turning your body more feminine.
That's right.
By giving into your craving to eat sugar as much as you do. So anyone who is overweight, and this I've seen with anyone struggling with weight issues across, there are two major culprits in India. One is anything sweet. Mostly when you're talking about cold drinks, it's a lot of cold drink drinking. Why do you need that iced tea? Why do you need that juice with your food? Just have water. The second issue that I have noticed in India is chakna, salty snacks, tea time snacks. It's these two issues mainly in India with anyone even trying to lose weight. But people need to understand the biology of not losing weight to get scared. Because I personally woke up when my body scared me that, hey, this is the kind of physical pain you'll go through if you don't take care of yourself. But I feel this kind of pain is even worse. It's psychological pain.
That's right. So these people get withdrawn. They don't go to play because they cannot run. So everybody, and especially the boys, as you say, if they compare their phallus with each other, they would find that then they'll make fun of him. So this guy becomes more and more introvert. And when he's introvert and he's getting depressed, he eats more. The sugar craving increases. The chocolates are the easiest ones to have, or whatever snacks you lay hand at. So this is a vicious cycle. The testosterone which is being produced, so he becomes stunted. The height becomes small. The weight increases. The insulin requirement increases. Insulin increases, the diabetes and other things, they come into play. The fatty liver happens. The injury to the liver happens because there's inflammation, and the root cause is accumulation of fuel called sugar and suppression of testosterone. So if you need to reverse this process, the first step is, of course, you cut down on sugar. Sugar is the first thing to go. And the second is exercise. And as I said, these people will not be able to get up in the morning to start exercising, but you tell them to at least start walking. And they would. Today, in the era of bariatric surgery, a lot of people will be subjected to bariatric surgery. And many of them will stay slim. Many of them will come back if they are not motivated enough, because sugar is sugar. So they start sipping it if they can't eat it. So the issue is testosterone with sugar metabolism is totally linked. Fat and sugar metabolism is linked with testosterone, which not many people understand. So suppose you do a testosterone level on this boy who is a plump, maybe in his teenage, you will find the testosterone to be low. It is low for two reasons. One, the LHR is a luteinizing hormone releasing hormone, also is not effective to push the testosterone. Testes remain small. And some people will call it as delayed puberty also. But the idea is that whatever be the cause, that needs to be reversed, and the best way is the diet, high fiber diet, and exercise. These are the two things that happen. The third is the diurnal variation, the circadian rhythm. If they don't follow circadian rhythm,
like sleep early, wake up early.
So I will tell you why I keep talking about that. So there is a term in Hindi, nishachar. Nisha mein acharan karne wale, which means the nocturnals, those who live at night. Suppose we have bats who are supposed to live at night, open their eyes at night, and you capture a bat and put him on sunlight, then you are torturing him. Humans are not nocturnals. Humans are not supposed to be waking up at sunset. They are supposed to go off to sleep. So if your body is waking up during this night, you are awake during the night, your body is crying for help, like a bat is crying for help during the day, which we all ignore. Because we have flashlights, we have LEDs, we have everything, we create light, but our hypothalamus cannot be fooled. And we get into trouble. So the body is under stress, even if we think we are enjoying a party or disco or maybe a game of cards or billiards or whatever. So simply staying awake at night means your body is under tremendous stress. And stress reduces testosterone.
Fair.
So if you don't follow circadian rhythm, your testosterone is going to fall anyway.
I think this is also an infinite topic if you open up all the lifestyle factors, and we've covered it, on the show. Hey, if you enjoyed today's clip, make sure you check out all the other clips we've uploaded on this channel. You'll find a clip related to almost every single topic as long as you're willing to search for it.